We could see a kind of about the size of a golf ball right in the middle of her brain, this solid mass. It was just like the end of our world.
I've been told that if I survive for 5 years, then my chances of surviving to, I don't know, a grand old age are something like 80%.
Research drives improvements in care. And if you don't have research, then you don't have improvements in care. And that's why we need the money.
I was taken into a little side room with a doctor and a nurse and told that my son had a brain tumour. And my world just dropped from under me.
At some stage, someone's going to find the answer, and we have to keep trying. Hello! Samantha was a very bubbly, bright girl. She loved life.
It's gotten...
She was the middle child, and she was a great leader with her two brothers as well. She would play games with them if they were watching the television or playing on the computer. She would make them get up and do something much more active. She was a very kind girl as well. She was always concerned if any of her friends fell out at school, and she was just a general all-rounder.
In 1996, just before her 17th birthday, Samantha Dickson died of a brain tumour after a 2.5-year fight. Her parents had not only lost a precious daughter, but felt hopelessly lost. Within 2 months, they set up the trust in her name.
We looked to see what was available. There was very little there. There were very little patient support groups, very little research going on, and we just felt isolated. And I'm sure that's what many people feel like when their child or their relative is diagnosed with a brain tumour. And hopefully we're improving on that and making it better, because there is now more communication and more understanding.
Right, this is going to be a corker. Ready?
Candida Silva and her husband Andy were absorbed in bringing up their 3 young children when she was diagnosed with a malignant tumour in 2008. It was the size of a tennis ball. Most of it was removed, but fragments remain. At the outset, a mental picture from an oncologist friend has helped them set about beating the odds.
The exact words, I think, were, "Andy, you have a mountain to climb, the two of you."
It's kind of stuck with us, this idea that, you know, it is a long slog, just beating the odds.
You mustn't look up. You mustn't think about what you're facing, because the chances are if you do, you won't make it. You don't look down, and you take one step at a time.
For me, I've got this 5-year deadline, and so it's just slogging away to get to that 5 years.
And we don't think about what we have ahead of us. If we did, I think it would send us mad, and we also would be bad parents to our children. So we approach it one step at a time.
Laura Lynan Hill has climbed that mountain. This is her in 2005 after she'd been given the 5-year all clear. As a 2-year-old, she was diagnosed with a very rare and aggressive tumour. Her chances of survival were slim. But with advice from the Trust, her parents found a treatment in America involving high doses of chemotherapy and convinced Laura's doctors to try it.
If it hadn't been for the Samantha Dickson Trust, you know, we wouldn't have taken on board this idea that we could be in control of what the treatment was, and that we could actually find out what was out there.
The risks were high and the side effects horrific. For 3 weeks, Laura's life hung in the balance.
Ultimately, even when things were really, really tough, I knew we'd made the right decision. And if she didn't make it through, then, you know, that was the decision we'd taken. We'd have to accept it.
But now, several years on, Laura, described by her mother as my miracle child, continues to do well.
Oh, I bet you're really chuffed.
Since it was set up in 1996, the Trust has become the largest brain tumour charity in the UK, offering support and advice to both patients and their families and carers.
We have patients coming to us from Australia, from Russia, from Italy, from Spain, France, all over coming to us for information and sometimes just moral support.
But it's also established itself as the UK's biggest independent funder of laboratory-based research. Among those it works closely with is the Children's Brain Tumour Research Centre in Nottingham. Money is used to fund PhD studies and to help cultivate one of the biggest cell banks in the country, which leading scientists are using to develop treatments.
So how are things going with Oliver?
He's doing okay.
The Trust has also helped fund a nationwide study by Professor David Walker from the centre to raise public awareness into the length of time between the onset of symptoms and a diagnosis. His findings put the UK in the bottom 25% in the world.
We were able to show that the time taken to make a diagnosis of a brain tumour in the UK is about 13.5 weeks for half the patients and longer for the other half, up to a year or two sometimes. And our target is to bring it down to at least 6, if not 5 weeks.
The likes of Professor Walker and Professor Grundy and the people that are at the forefront here, they need all the help they can get, and it's just been impossible without them.
Pyjamas on? You tired, sweetheart?
And lives are being saved. This is Harry Graham in 2005. He was then aged 9 and recovering from 3 brain operations and a year of chemotherapy. It took its toll. He lost the hearing in his left ear.
Ready, up!
But 5 years on, his treatment has proved successful and he continues to be given the all clear.
I like playing cricket, rugby, hanging out with my mates, but I've come out for a better person. I understand about people's illnesses and how they feel. It's like I used to never watch programmes about people in hospital. Now I do with my mum. I understand how they feel as well.
The family's journey has been a long one, but one which would have been impossible without the support of the Trust.
They have been absolutely fantastic. I can honestly say without them, we wouldn't have been as sane, if you like, as we are now. Their patient support is absolutely fantastic. They're always on the end of the phone. The research and the fundraising that they do for the research is second to none. So it without a doubt, without them, I doubt if we'd have got through and remained as we are now.
Well, in my 20-year career so far, I've seen huge advances in my field. I see no reason why there shouldn't be even greater advances in the next 20 years.
These are just some of the 8,500 people diagnosed with a brain tumour every year in Britain, and for whom the Samantha Dickson Brain Tumour Trust is there to help. Brain cancer may be indiscriminate as to who it affects, but this potentially devastating disease unites all those touched by it in a shared determination to fight for life and beat the odds.
You know, it's one of the ways perhaps I feel I can cope with Samantha's death is to know that if we're helping others through our experience, as well as the research side, but actually helping them go through this traumatic time and perhaps pulling them through it out the other end to successful treatment, then that's maybe the reason why we've had to lose our daughter, to help others.
I just want to be here to see my kids grow up, and yeah, I just want to see my grandchildren. So that's what I hope for more than anything. It's just, I just want to get old.